The voice of sharing durian ASEAN.
ASEAN Dailies. First and the foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Good morning, this is Arlene and you're listening to Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing. Today I'm going to start off news from outside of Southeast Asia. First off, about Saudi Arabia on the Hajj stampede. Saudi Arabia must apologize for the Hajj death. This is according to the Iran's supreme leader. Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has demanded Saudi Arabia apologize for a stampede that killed 769 pilgrims at the Hajj as a war of words escalates between the regional rivals. According to Ayatollah Khamenei, he accused Riyadh of a blame game after the Saudi foreign minister said Iran was playing politics with tragedy. This issue will not be forgotten and the nations will pursue it seriously. This is the website posted in the official statement by Ayatollah Khamenei. Instead of passing the buck and playing a blame game, the Saudis should accept the responsibility and apologize for the Muslims and victims' family. The death of more than 1,000 people is not a small issue. Muslim countries should focus on that. About 400 protesters later chanted death to the treacherous house of Saud outside the Saudi embassy in Tehran. Iranian leaders have been fiercely critical of Saudi authorities' handling of safety at the Hajj following Thursday's stampede during a ritual stoning of the devil in Mina near the holy city in Mecca. Within hours, Ayatollah Khamenei blamed improper measures and mismanagement for the disaster. On the other hand, Saudi's health minister has said 769 pilgrims will kill at least 144 Iranians died in the crash, the highest confirmed toll among foreign nationalities. And 323 Iranians are still missing. Tension is definitely heightened between Saudi and Iran following the Hajj stampede, and in his speech to the Iranian General Assembly, Iranian President Hassan Rouhani said that the crash as heart-rending and emphasized the need for an investigation into the causes of these accidents and other similar incidents. He also remarked that affected countries have a role in the stampede investigation, with the Ayatollah Muhammad Imami Kashani said that the Saudi kingdom is incapable of organizing the Hajj. The running of the Hajj must be handed over to Islamic states. Saudi Foreign Minister Adel Al-Jubeir, also in New York for the UN General Assembly, accused the Iranians of playing politics. While the U.S. Secretary John Kerry said that they will reveal the facts when they emerge and they will not hold anything back. On the other hand, we have another news talking about the U.S. China President Xi Jinping just visited President Obama, and in his speech he said that empowering women is vital. World leaders meeting Sunday at the United Nations in New York proclaimed their commitment to expand opportunities for women, noting that gender equality is integral to the uplift of all people. Chinese President Xi Jinping, in his first state visit to the U.S., co-chaired segments of a meeting on gender equality and women's empowerment with the UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon and pledged that his country would donate $10 million to the UN Women, a group focused on further gender equality. He also added that we should foster a global environment favorable for women's development, she said through a translator at the start of the meeting. He also added that China would also initiate 100 health-oriented projects in the next 5 years, help create schools and host 30,000 women from developing countries in China-based training programs. But like the rest of the Xi's visit, which has been shadowed by concern about his country engaging in cyber theft and building artificial islands in the South China Sea, the Chinese leader's stewardship of a meeting dedicated to women empowerment was also controversial, given China's poor record on human rights and recent arrests of several women activists. Xi is hosting a meeting on women's rights at the UN while persecuting feminists? Shameless. And this is according to Hillary Clinton tweeting on Sunday morning, hashtag Free the 20. The Free the 20 campaign spotlighted 20 political prisoners, including Chinese activists such as Wang Yu, the 44-year-old lawyer who was imprisoned in the wake of her work on behalf of clients that include a group known as the Five Feminists, who were jailed in March because of their plan to speak out about sexual harassment. On the other hand, about China, besides visits by President Xi Jinping in the US, the Chinese ambassador in Kuala Lumpur also went to the Petaling Street to pay just to have a courtesy call, in fact. But unfortunately, the Chinese embassy in Malaysia has moved to ease concern over the remark Ambassador Huang Huikang had made during a visit to Petaling Street last Friday, after he was summoned to the Malaysia's foreign minister for interfering the country's affair. In fact, it was just an expression of hope that Malaysia stays united, prosperous, harmonious. This is according to the ambassador of China in Malaysia. The embassy also added that Dr. Huang's visit, which came 9 days after a pro-Malay rally that accused Chinese Malaysians of trying to usurp political power, was an act of goodwill and not interference in Malaysia's domestic affairs. Petaling Street is Kuala Lumpur's Chinatown, is a major attraction for tourists from China and a significant contributor of tourism dollars. The embassy statement said that ambassador who went to the yesterday for the Mid-Autumn Festival in Petaling Street make similar visit during other festivals too, including Chinese New Year, Hari Raya, and Deepawali. Dr. Huang was asked some questions by the media, but he only expressed hope that Malaysia will always stay united, prosperous, and harmonious. And that's all for us. Now we will take a short break. When we return, we will continue with more news from Southeast Asia.
ASEAN Dailies. First and the foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Hey, good morning. This is Arlene. You're back with me again on the ASEAN Daily. So continuing for our political news from Southeast Asia, start out with the Haze crisis that is affecting Indonesia, Malaysia, and Singapore, also including other countries like Brunei. Just a bit of an update what is happening right now in Singapore and Malaysia. Singapore schools are reopening, and haze is also affecting a lot of Malaysia's institutions. Singapore schools reopened on Monday after pollution from Indonesia's forest fires led to their closure on Friday, while Malaysia said it will shut some education institutions as the air quality worsened in areas near Kuala Lumpur. In fact, a couple of schools are being closed right now in certain parts in Kuala Lumpur. The 3-hour pollutant standards index in Singapore stood at 115 at 6 a.m. at an unhealthy range on Monday after the city-state got some respites with the air quality in the moderate for most of the weekend. The measure had climbed to the year's high of 341 on Friday morning, entering the hazardous level for the first time. A reading exceeding 300 is classified as hazardous. In addition to shutting its grade and high schools, the city-state of Singapore also suspended some outdoor events on Friday as smoke from the forest fires shrouded the city-state with a layer of haze. A prolonged period of high pollution levels would hurt the economy. So far, the impact on the economy is not significant as the haze didn't last long. And Singapore's residents are expected to adjust their plans for now, heading to the malls instead of outdoor activities. If it lasts longer, people may choose to stay home. On the other hand, Malaysia's ordered some schools to close as the air quality in Kuala Lumpur is very unhealthy. In fact, the level of air pollutant index stood between 154 and 195 in the unhealthy range for 8 districts near the capital of Kuala Lumpur. Smoke from Indonesia's forest fire has blanketed Southeast Asia with haze. Data compiled by the Global Forest Watch show a concentration of fires in parts of Indonesia's Sumatra and Kalimantan, driving the air quality of cities located in the areas to hazardous level. The effects of the haze depends on wind direction, with the weather pattern playing a role in pollution levels, according to Gabriel Lau, an Earth System Science professor at the Chinese University of Hong Kong. Singapore also named 4 Indonesia's companies that it says may have contributed to the fires and said it will apply more pressure on palm oil and forestry companies responsible for the burning. On the other news, we have news about Japan, security bill, and ASEAN's big worry. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has finally pushed through controversial security bills. The new situation creates a dilemma for ASEAN, which has come to expect a calmer, more consensus-based approach from Japan. More than officials would like to admit, Abe's strategy may have serious implications for Japan's relationship with ASEAN as a whole and for its ties with individual member states. At the same time, Abe's policy presents an opportunity for ASEAN to play a central role in mediating regional tensions. Most ASEAN countries had terrible experiences during World War II, and because of that, they are pretty, in a dilemmatic state when it comes to Japan's security bill. Abe's security legislation will change the natures of Japan's engagement with Southeast Asia, allowing it for the first time since World War II to dispatch armed forces overseas and take part in international military missions for ASEAN. This raised difficult questions. The issue is not the presence of Japanese troops itself. Japan's 1993 dispatch of unarmed soldiers and police to join at United Nations mission in Cambodia, where they helped to restore order and prevent further conflict, was well received. But Abe's unyielding approach to the security legislation, in spite of strong public protests in Japan, has caused great anxiety among some ASEAN members, many of which are unprepared for a Japan with an assertive defense posture and policies. More discreetly, some ASEAN countries have adopted a wait-and-see attitude as they ponder how to respond to Japan's new security orientation without disrupting their relations with China. They do not want to be dragged into a rivalry between Japan and China. As you know, it will definitely get really, really bad in either of the economic or security fields. And on the other hand, from Japan, we move on to Laos as it prepares for ASEAN chairmanship in 2016. Next year, Laos is ready to play the critical and central role of ASEAN chair and hosting the 28th and 29th ASEAN summits, which will be held back-to-back in Vientiane next year. Lao Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs Alokia Kittikount and Malaysian Ambassador Tan Tai Hing co-chaired an ASEAN consultative meeting in Vientiane this week, which was attended by the ambassador of ASEAN countries based in Vietnam. He also said that Laos will play a very important role, and it is definitely prepared to do so, and not just in terms of words but also logistically, with the construction of a few new hotels, and would be completed in time for the said ASEAN summit and related meetings. Additionally, workshops and seminars were being held to train the functionaries and staff to be deployed during the summits and related ASEAN meetings to be held in the country. And according to Bonpan Sovonavang, Deputy Director General of the Investment Promotion Department at the Ministry of Planning and Investment, he said he updated that the meeting on the latest government policy on pertinent incentives pertaining to foreign investment, while the representative from the National Committee for Special Economic Zone, Dr. Krongkram Knongchan, spoke about the Special Economic Zone and the one-stop service framework to attract more foreign direct investment into the economic zone, the special economic zone. This is during the ASEAN Economic Community meeting that held at the same time. And another news is about, as we all know, Rabies. At least 1.5 billion people in Southeast Asia are in danger of it. According to the World Health Organization, close to 25,000 people died from rabies in Southeast Asia every year, and around 4 million people are given rabies vaccines annually. To combat this, the WHO have announced their goal to eliminating rabies in Southeast Asia by the year 2020. As we all know, in Penang itself in Malaysia, we are also having the same kind of situation of a rabies outbreak, and the WHO is also currently collaborating with other organizations like the UN Food and Agriculture Organization and World Organization for Animal Health to implement rabies elimination programs in countries with high incidence of the infection. And communities should also be taught how to safeguard their family and pets from being infected by the virus. And according to Dr. Ketrapal Singh, also emphasized the importance of knowing first aid when it comes to dog bites and the urgency of seeking medical health if the bite comes from an animal suspected of having rabies. rabies is caused by a virus which will eventually travel to the brain and cause swelling on acute encephalitis. It can be transmitted between different species, usually through an infected bite wound. Though coming in contact with infected animals' saliva can also spread the virus. 99% of human rabies infections are caused by dog bites. Symptoms for rabies infection including headache, lack of appetite, vomiting, disorientation, restlessness, foaming in the mouth, and hydrophobia or fear of water. And that's all for our political news. We'll take a short break. When we return, we'll discuss more on the on the economic and social cultural side of Southeast Asia.
ASEAN Dailies. First and foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Good morning, this is Arlene. You're back with me again on our economic news. Do you know that ASEAN is the next world factory? Although China is still perceived as the world's factory, much of the low-end, labor-intensive manufacturing has moved offshore, with much of it within ASEAN. Travel outside of capital of Bangkok to the vast industrial parks elsewhere in the country, and one will find multinational companies such as Sony, Seagate, Philips, and LG having set up assembly operations to produce, operations for products including hard disk drives, integrated circuits, semiconductors, and automotive electronics. The same goes for Vietnam, which has attracted major investments from the likes of Samsung, LG, Canon, and Nokia. Samsung alone accounts for around 20% of total Vietnamese exports. Malaysia and the Philippines are now among the world's leading hubs for information technology and business process outsourcing in Southeast Asia. Much of the low-end, labor-intensive manufacturing and that was once the sole domain of China has migrated to the Greater Mekong sub-region, Asia's new low-cost production hub. Further than that, as China leads new regional initiatives such as the China Silk Road to strengthen connectivity with a large-scale infrastructure investment through the ASEAN Infrastructure Investment Bank and Silk Road Fund, both countries and ASEAN are set to benefit the next decade and beyond the rapid regional growth in long-term trade and investment flows. The ASEAN countries and China provinces in the Greater Mekong sub-region are expected to be among the biggest beneficiaries, as they are well positioned to become low-cost manufacturing suppliers to the rapidly growing Chinese consumer market and industrial supply chain. On the other hand, we have a social-cultural news from Singapore. In fact, Singapore is setting up aside $75 million Sing dollar for ASEAN Para Games. The games to be held between December 3rd and 9th at the Singapore Sports Hub features 15 sports. And the Republic has set aside that budget, it's quite a huge budget, for the ASEAN Para Games, with the Minister of Culture, Community and Youth, Lawrence Wong, announced this at a para football friendly match on Sunday. The match featured sports personalities such as Fandi Ahmad, Lim Tong Hai and Nazri Nasir. The team Singapore Cerebral Palsy footballers footballerism and aims to promote sports among this disabled community. He also expressed his hope that the game can inspire those with disability to take part in the sport. He added that government is taking steps to improve facilities and infrastructure for the group of users. And importantly, he thinks that individual awareness is important. What are the games about? What benefits are there in playing in these sports? And how do Singaporeans get people to understand there are benefits, that it saves, in fact, it's good for them, and through the Para Games, hopefully the performance of Singapore's para athletes will inspire many more people in the disabled community to take part in the sports. The public can watch the ASEAN Para Games action for free, and the organizers are hoping that Singaporeans will come out in full force to support the athletes, just like during the Southeast Asian Games. This is the first time Singapore is hosting such an event and is expected to involve more than 3,000 athletes and officials. It will also wrap up the celebrations for Singapore's 50th birthday. That's all from me today. Catch up more from news in Southeast Asia. And before I end the news, I just want to wish you all for a great day ahead and hopefully to cover up with a mask or something. And please take care of your health with such a hazy situation outside. And with that, bye-bye.